the late 1700s into the early 1800s, we kind of have this romantic movement. And I'm not talking romanticism as like in a Harlequin romance novel. I'm talking about romanticism as an artistic and philosophic movement. Which, interestingly enough, it took me years to understand this, but existential philosophy is the philosophic teeth of the Romantic movement. So, does that help give you a clue what comes next? Okay, so what's next is Romanticism, which is a revolt against reason or the overuse of reason. And check out this image. This is called the Oxbow by Thomas Cole, American artist, part of the Hudson River School. But this isn't just a landscape painting. Um, the neoclassicists did amazing landscape paintings, and they were very much like real life pastoral scenes that look like real trees, real animals, real people, etc. But in Romanticism, a landscape painting isn't just a landscape painting, it's also an allegory. And that's exactly what this painting is. It's called the Oxbow for multiple reasons. One, that's what this kind of turn in the river is called, an oxbow, which was also the yoke put upon oxen so they could be used to plow the fields and turn the wilderness into domesticated area. And so this is one of the themes you see in Romanticism. It's this exaltation of wild, untamed nature and showing the oppression of man, of his clear cutting and his pollution and his dominating of the natural material world. And this is being done through reason and industry and control, where the Romantic movement is calling us back to nature, back to innocence, back to the freedom that comes before civilized, industrialized society. And so they're exaltating emotion and intuition and nature over logic and reason and civilization. They're asking different types of questions, like, what does it mean to be a human being? Not what is a human being, but what does it mean for me to be a human being? And artists began to embrace suffering and passion. And there's just little samplers. Questions, comments on that? We're almost to the birth of tragedy. You're doing great. Okay.
I'm being reminded of a book I once read by Kenneth Wilber called A Brief History of Everything.
Oh,
And I remember he described how he believes everything evolves from a state of fusion, kind of like a baby being born with no sense of self, to a total separation from self and other, and then an integrating with other. And he tried to apply that principle to everything, including the material and the spiritual. And maybe we're kind of seeing that a little bit, where there's kind of things getting separated and then getting integrated to evolve to a higher level.
yeah, that's a great tie-in, Aaron. Thank you. And I think Wilbur would be tracking completely with what Nietzsche is doing here. Okay, any other thoughts, comments?
I think it was a beautiful painting. It was very soothing.
Oh,
That's about as deep as I went for that.
maybe look this up later for your own enjoyment and edification. It's by Thomas Cole, Cole, and it's called The Journey of Life. He does another one on civilizations, from like the birth of civilizations to their fall. But this one, The Journey of Life, my dad actually had the set. Um, I think it's still hanging in my mom's stairwell. Anyways, it's a series, and the first image is like this baby in a boat coming out of like a cave, and he's sailing down the river of life. And And then I think that the next theme, he's a young man, he's got a hold of the rudder, he's full of all his energy and looking forward with the possibilities of what can be. But then by the time you get to the third panel, it's this middle-aged man shooting the rapids of life and everything's in tatters and he's holding on for dear life. And in the very last frame, it's a broken boat with an old man sitting on a calm and tranquil sea, and the angels have come to take him home. And it's just, once again, when you look at it, it's obviously trees and rivers and a man, but there's a story, a message behind the imagery. And I think it's quite powerful and profound. I would always joke with my dad and point out the second picture, and I'd say, that's everyone's mistake. There's a path. You're supposed to get off the boat right there and take the path to the idealized celestial city. But stupid us, we stay in the boat too long and end up hitting those middle-aged rapids. But I I don't know. I don't know if I'm through the rapids yet, but the sailing's starting to get a little smoother. Maybe I'm almost to that peaceful sea.